Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So, continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 10th chapter, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Text number 6 onwards. Nadhyo Vyadhya Klesha Dev Bhutatma Hetva Jat Shatrava Bhavan Janto Nam Ragi Karhichit. Because of the kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excessive heat or cold. So this is not metaphorically speaking, it was a fact. The king means Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he had no enemy, so it was only 5,000 years ago. The living beings were not living beings, anybody, not just the humans in his kingdom, anybody in his kingdom, they were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, means adhyatmic klesh, diseases, adhibhautik klesh, or excessive heat or cold, adhidavik klesh. So this is how great the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj was, the administration. Can you imagine any king? Because the king had no enemies, people must be envious of him, but he was not envious of anybody. He had no enmity towards anybody. So everybody in his kingdom had no kleshas, no adhyatmic, no adhibhautik, no adhidavik klesha. We can't even imagine that kind of kingdom. To be non-violent to human beings and to be killer or enemy of the poor animals is Satan's philosophy. In this age, there is enmity towards poor animals, and therefore the poor creatures are always anxious. The reaction of the poor animals is being forced on human society, and therefore there is always a strain of cold or hot war between men individually, collectively, or nationally. So the real reason behind wars, whether it's individual, collective, or national, is because of the slaughterhouses, basically, because of wholesale killing of animals. So when we kill the poor creatures, poor animals who can't even defend themselves, so basically we also get killed. Simple as that. At the time of Maharaj Yudhishthira, there were no different nations, although there were different subordinate states. The whole world was united, and the supreme head, being a trained king like Yudhishthira, kept all the inhabitants free from anxiety, diseases, or excessive heat and cold. They were not only economically well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed by supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbance of bodily and mental activities. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom and a bad housewife spoils the family. Prabhupada is writing that. I'm not saying anything. I'm just repeating what Prabhupada is writing. So his administration and his own character was so great. So that is the reason Krishna arranged for this whole war just to put Yudhishthira Maharaj on the throne. Because the king was pious and obedient to the Lord and sages, because he was no one's enemy, and because he was a recognized agent of the Lord and therefore protected by him, all the citizens under the king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by the Lord and his authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. So there is full cooperation between man and God and man and nature. This conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by King Yudhishthira, can bring about happiness, peace, and prosperity in the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. So that is the position of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was a great devotee, and he had no enmity towards anybody. So everybody living under him was directly living under the protection of Krishna. So everybody was completely happy, completely satisfied. So that is the standard of administration or government. Text 7. Ushitva hastin pure masan katipaya hari suridam cha vishokaya swasushta priyakamyaya. Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna, resided at Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister, Subhadra. So Subhadra was married to Arjun, and Krishna stayed at Hastinapur for a few months to take care of all his relatives and sister. Krishna was to start for Dwarka, his own kingdom, after the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhishthira being enthroned, but to oblige the request of Maharaj Yudhishthira and to show special mercy to Bhishmadev, Lord Krishna stopped at Hastinapur, the capital of the Pandavas. The Lord decided to stay especially to pacify the aggrieved king as well as to please Subhadra, sister of Lord Shri Krishna. Subhadra was especially to be pacified because she lost her only son Abhimanyu, who was just married. The boy left his wife Uttara, mother of King Maharaj Parikshit. The Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotees in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. The Lord is absolute. So everybody, all these devotees were there in Hastinapur, and Krishna had to stay back to pacify them, to help them, to please them. Especially his own sister Subhadra, because Subhadra was more aggrieved because she lost her only son, Abhimanyu. Of course, Draupadi also lost her 5 sons. Amantra chabhyan anugyata parishvajyabhivadyatam aruro ratham kaishchit parishvakto abhivadita. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, because he was elder to Krishna, according to age, so Krishna was acting according to the social norms. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the elder cousin of Lord Krishna, and therefore, while departing from him, the Lord bowed down at the king's feet. The king embraced him as a younger brother, although the king knew perfectly well that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. But still he embraced him like his younger brother. The Lord takes pleasure when some of his devotees accept him as less important in terms of love. No one is greater than or equal to the Lord, but he takes pleasure in being treated as younger than his devotees. So this is where Krishna's pleasure lies. He doesn't like to be always treated like the supreme personality of Godhead. So only his devotees can play the part of his superiors. He takes pleasure in that. These are all transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The impersonalist cannot enter into the supernatural roles played by the devotees of the Lord. Therefore, Bhima and Arjun embraced the Lord because they were of the same age, but Nakul and Sahadev bowed down before the Lord because they were younger than him. So special affection Krishna has with Pandavas. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Virat, Tanya, Tatha, Gandhari, Dhritarashtrascha, Yuyitsur, Gautamo, Yamo, Briko, Darashcha, Dhaumyashcha, Istriyo, Matsya, Sutadaya, Na Sehire, Vinoyanto, Viraham, Shangdhanvana. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu, Kripacharya, Nakul, Sahadev, Bhishma, Bhimsen, Dhaumya, Satyavati, all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. So Krishna is about to leave for Dwarka and everybody kind of fainted because they couldn't take it. And they will not see Krishna for a long time. Because it is mentioned Krishna stayed there for quite a few months. Lord Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord. Otherwise, he can't. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrindavan and the innocent rural cowherd boys, girls, ladies, and others, they all felt shock throughout their lives. In the separation of Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl is beyond expression. So, more the love, more will be the pain of separation. And the love of Srimati Radharani for Krishna has no parallel. So the kind of separation that she felt when Krishna left Vrindavan and came to Mathura and then finally to Dwarka, it's beyond explanation, beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heart-rending. So once Krishna from Dwarka, there was solar eclipse and they the trend was to take bath at Brahm Sarovar in Kurukshetra. So Krishna from Dwarka, he went with all the entourage, all his queens, Pandavas, and it was because this happened before Mahabharata, Duryodhan and everybody came from Hastinapur. And when the Brajvasis found out that Krishna is coming to Kurukshetra, they all came from Vrindavan to Kurukshetra. And these pastimes are mentioned in Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. When Radharani and Gopis, they met Krishna and how they met him. And this is what Prabhupada is saying, this is heart-rending because it was amazing, the feelings of Gopis. And actually the Gopis, when they saw Krishna in the form of a king, first time they saw him as a king, and they saw all the elephants and the horses and the soldiers around Krishna. So they, in the leadership of Srimati Radharani, they told him that we don't like you in this way. We still remember you as Krishna with Bansuri and the Morpunk and the yellow dress. So they tend to take Krishna's chariot from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. They were pulling the chariot from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. So that is also, some acharyas said, that is also the significance of Rath Yatra that happens in Jagannath Puri. So the devotees take the chariot of Jagannath or Krishna from Shri Mandir to Gundicha. Gundicha Mandir is considered as Vrindavan, and Shri Mandir, of course, is considered as Dwarka, but since Krishna was in Kurukshetra in Dwarka mode, so Kurukshetra at that time also represented Dwarka. So devotees, they want to take Krishna from Shri Mandir to Gundicha. So in that sense, the devotees who are participating in Rath Yatra, pulling the chariot, and not only in Jagannath Puri, anywhere in fact, for that matter, because Jagannath is Jagannath. So basically they, we can say they represent the gopis, or they have this mood of gopis towards Krishna because they don't like Krishna outside Vrindavan. So they want to take Krishna from Kurukshetra, Dwarka to Vrindavan. So that can be said that the devotees are in the mood of gopis when they're pulling the chariot. Or at least they're begging to be in that mood. So that is a reason when we go and attend Rath Yatra, Jagannath Rath Yatra, anywhere, especially when we go in Jagannath Puri, of course there is so much of crowd and so much of pushing and pulling. in Jagannath Puri, so it's very hard to be in any mood. But in ISKCON, since we have so many Rath Yatras all throughout the year, all over the world, if we can attend any properly, and the mood, the thing should be our mood when we are attending the Rath Yatra, when we're pulling the chariots of Lord Jagannath. So the mood should be, one mood could be that Jagannathji, I want to pull you into my heart. I want you to come and stay in my heart. Or secondly, it could be the mood of gopis that we want to take you to Vrindavan. So both the moods are okay. But the mood has to be there. The mood should not be, oh, I'm here just to show off my nice gopi dress or my nice dhoti kurta and how nice I can dance or whatever. Not to show off. The mood is the sentiments, the feelings, the emotions that which are inside us. And Jagannathji can see that mood. He can reciprocate with those feelings. But the feelings have to be there. That we have to understand. So next verse. Satsangan mukta dusango atum not sahate budham kirtimanam yasho yasya sakrida karne rochanam tasminyasta dhya partha saheram viram katham darshan sparsha sanlaha shayan asan bhojana. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. So Krishna, because he was basically the life of Pandavas, especially Arjuna, and in the verse it says, so the Goswami says, so those who have understood association of Krishna with pure devotees have become freed from bad materialistic association. They cannot avoid hearing about the Lord because they get so much of attraction towards Krishna. What to speak of Pandavas who were associating with him, seeing him face to face, talking to him, sitting with him, sleeping with him, dining with him. Amazing fortune of Pandavas. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving the superior. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. So this is our life, a conditioned living entity. We are trying to serve the senses, and even if we get tired, the senses never leave us alone. They always want some service. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. So we are like the servant, the slave of the senses. The release is only affected by association with pure devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. So this association and then the achievement of pure consciousness is what is important. Thus he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and not the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over itself. So long purport. Then Prabhupada is writing. So in the association with pure devotees, a person then hears about and hears them submissively, means hears the pure devotee submissively. Attachment for material enjoyment slackens, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes prominent. Once this attraction begins, it goes on progressively increasing without stoppage, like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and effectually liberated from material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. So that verse we had read, this Atmaram Shloka, where it is said, anybody who's even Atmaram, who's completely self-satisfied, even he cannot avoid hearing and singing the glories of the Lord. So what to speak of any ordinary person? Under the circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. Their position in separation from him was no less than that of the gopis of Vrindavan. So this is the beauty of being attracted to or being in contact with Krishna. The devotee just cannot forget, cannot bear the separation, even the thought of separation. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, fame, pastime, etc., is also attractive for the pure devotee, so much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with other pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord forever. But the beauty of even separation from Krishna is when a person is separated from Krishna, he is always thinking about Krishna, always thinking about the form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc. of Krishna. So in that way, he is never separated from Krishna. He could be physically separated, but Krishna being absolute, his name, quality, form, pastimes, fame, everything is same as Krishna. So in one sense, a devotee is never separate from Krishna, never away from Krishna. But in one sense, yes, he is, because physically, or the form that he is supposed to, he is so used to see, he cannot see it at the moment. So, but just thinking about his name, fame, qualities, that gives a devotee immense pleasure actually. And that was the situation or condition of the Brajvasis when Krishna left Vrindavan and came to Mathura. They were continuously absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, everything. So in one way, they were never separated from Krishna. So that is why it's also said that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, never takes a step out of Vrindavan. He never does. So when Akrurji went to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balram to Mathura, so there is a place when on the way to Mathura, they stopped the chariot and took bath in Yamuna. So that place became famous now as Akrur Ghat. So it is said that is actually the boundary of Vrindavan. So at that place, Krishna and Balram, when they took bath in Yamuna, so Shyam Sundar Krishna stayed back in Vrindavan, and Vasudev Krishna who was born from Vasudev, he went with Akrura. So original Shyam Sundar Krishna, who was in the mood of Vrindavan, he never left Vrindavan. And then it is said in Bhagavatam, so then Shyam Sundar Krishna, because he wanted to give this feeling of separation to all the Brajvasis, to enhance their love for him. He didn't show them his form, but he entered everybody's heart. So when he was in everybody's heart, so they were in intense separation from Shyam Sundar Krishna. But at the same time, when they were thinking about him, talking about him, and remembering his pastimes, so they were never separate from him either. So it's a it's a complete different feeling. So this is the mood of Brajvasis, and actually this is the mood which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought to give it to us. This mood of separation, service in the mood of separation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Krishna himself, but the mood was of Srimati Radharani, especially the mood of Radharani when she was separate from Krishna. And as we know, when we heard about Jagannath's pastimes, so Jagannath is Krishna, but that form is especially famous because that in that form, Krishna is thinking of all the Brajvasis, especially of Srimati Radharani. So he was at that time in the mood of separation. So Jagannath Puri, which is the land of Lord Jagannath, yes, it is considered as Dwarka, but it has a special significance because that is also called a place of separation. Jagannath is Krishna in the mood of separation from Radharani, intense separation. And there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived for 18 years, who was Krishna in the mood of Radharani, in separation from Krishna. So it's a place for separation. Separation, and both Radharani and Krishna are separated, and then they meet together, especially during Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is the time when Jagannath comes out. And Radharani, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with her associates, she is taking Jagannath from Shri Mandir to Vrindavan. So the mood of separation was so strong that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while dancing in front of Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra and while singing the glories of Jagannath, Krishna, he would cry. Although Jagannath was there, Krishna was right there, but the mood was so intense, he would cry and cry so much that it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the tears would come out of his eyes in the form of like water squirted from syringe. Like during holy time, we play with this water thing, the nozzle, and we squirt water on everybody. So the tears would come out of the eyes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that fashion. So that mood of separation is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. So even though we are separated physically from Krishna, but if we can remember his pastimes in intense mood, so that thought will give us lots of consolation. And that thought will actually purify us. Because then we can never be separated from Krishna. I mean, no matter physically where we are, like Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America, he said, I'm in New York, but I'm always thinking about Vrindavan. So this place is non-different from Vrindavan. So this is the mood of a pure devotee. He can be doing his service anywhere, but in his inner heart, he is thinking of Krishna or Vrindavan or other places. Then he's never separated from these places. So anyway, it's getting late. I'll stop here. See anybody got any questions or comments?
फ्राइडे को तो मैंने कहा कि नहीं बेटा घर क्या करेंगे जाके
Shraddhanjali Mataji, please turn off your mic if you want. So any questions or should we stop here?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was speaking on mute actually. Sorry about that. So, while you were discussing about Pandavas, the great association they had with Krishna. So we know that association with Lord Krishna, it's impossible. And now you see, Kunti ji was Bua of Krishna, and then Pandavas were like brothers for Krishna, right? Am I correct? So Are there in the scriptures in the Mahabharata anywhere it's mentioned that in the past times of Pandavas, are they were any saints or any other, because getting the association of Krishna and being so close to him, being like a brothers, or a Mata Kunti was like Buaji. So they, it seems like in the past life, these Mata Kunti and Pandavas were, some saints or something. That's why they got the association of Krishna and they become so close in Mahabharata.
No, no, no. They are eternal associates of Krishna from Vaikuntha. So they didn't have to be sages. They were not like us, conditioned souls who get elevated to that kind of position. They are eternal associates. So they came from Vaikuntha planet to associate with Krishna, to perform these pastimes.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Any other question or comment? So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.